What's up, y'all? Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Thank you for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. As always, if you could, hit the like button, subscribe button, notification button to stay up to date with my future Teachable Tuesdays videos. We got a reaction video today, and we are going to have quite a bit of a deep conversation. Check this out.
Have you guys seen the TikTok of the woman whose husband canceled their honeymoon after one day because he found out that she sent a goodbye text to her ex on the morning of their wedding? Of course, her new husband would have a problem with this, but she just doesn't get it. She actually justified it by saying that she needed to say goodbye to have closure. But why did you wait for the day of your wedding? Look, for anyone in a relationship, let alone engaged, your partner never wants to feel like he's second choice. As if you're with him because your first choice didn't want it, or it's just that your first choice didn't want to shape up and be the man that you wanted him to be. And the whole closure thing is just a silly excuse because you can get closure without reaching out to someone. You can write a goodbye on a piece of paper and then burn it. Because by reaching out instead, you're probably actually giving him one more chance to change your mind. Something just tells me in every one of these situations that the man on the other end receiving that is saying, heck no, good riddance.
All right, so let's talk about this, right? I'm going to give my thoughts, and then we're actually going to go ahead and read some of these comments and see what the community thinks. But first and foremost, ain't no way in God's green earth is that marriage going to last. I can bet you 7 times out of 10, because maybe there's that 30%, that man is either he's going to divorce that woman, or he is never going to trust that woman or look at that woman the same way ever again. Because here are my thoughts about this, right? Why didn't you say goodbye before you got into a relationship with this man, let alone decide to marry this man, right? Because that leads me to believe that this woman was probably messing with this guy on the side, right? Had to have, because there's no reason to say goodbye if you've already moved on, right? If you already found somebody else, then, you know, a goodbye is not needed. That should be goodbye enough. Or you should have already said your goodbye before you started entertaining a new guy. Maybe at one point you were entertaining your ex and the guy at the same time before you guys officially got into a relationship. When you felt like things were going on strong, at that point, that is your job to be like, you know what? Hey, I found me a new guy. I found me a better guy. He's probably a better guy for me. I'm going to go ahead and let this go because I know the situation that I'm in ain't no good. So I'm going to move on to a situation that is good, and I don't need no disruptions. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the dating scene these days that don't look at it like that. And then you get into a situation like this, and it causes a number of problems, right? I really see 3 main problems. Number one, there's no telling if you were cheating on the guy or not. So that's problem number 1. Number 2, let's just say you were faithful, right? And you just put this as a gesture to kind of let things be. It really shows you don't genuinely desire the man. And fellas, like I said before, if a woman does not genuinely desire you, you're not going to get her best. So that's number 2. And then number 3, it shows that there is a lack of communication and honesty within the relationship, which are 2 vital things for a relationship to last. I don't care if it's platonic, romantic, or anything of the sort. If you don't have that, then, you know, pretty much you're cooked. You know what I'm saying? So in all cases, this woman was absolutely 500% wrong. And, you know, who knows what is going to happen? Obviously, he ended the honeymoon. He said, nah, bump this. Maybe he'll decide to get a divorce. I think that might be the best bet. I don't believe in divorce in most cases, but this might be grounds for it. I know from a biblical standpoint, it's not technically grounds for it because there's no guarantee that she committed infidelity. But even still, it's not a good situation to be in. But let's go ahead and read some of these comments and see what they have to say. And then I'll give my final thoughts on what she could do moving forward, what she should do, what he could do, and what he should do as well. So Stardust Ullman says, that man was 200% in the right for his actions. Absolutely. I would have done the same thing. Go ahead and just cancel it, and we will talk about this when we get home and figure out how we're going to move forward. So Moonstruck in Management says, good for him. Never let a woman choose you as a second choice. Otherwise, you will live the rest of your life for her with her resenting you and not being with quotations him, which is very true. This woman did not view him as first choice, because if she really cared enough to put him as first choice, guess what? She would have dismissed the other guy long before they got into a relationship. Let me tell you something, guys. When a woman really wants you, and I know this through personal experience, she's not going to be entertaining other guys. Not only that, but any guys that she does have, or the guy that she does have, she will completely leave them alone for you. Trust me. Donatun YH says she was probably with the ex just before the wedding. I worked at a bar for years and watched this play out time and again with couple after couple. If you ever want the dirt on someone you're dating, find out where they spend their time and talk to the staff. The staff knows more secrets than their best friends. Oof. Piece of advice for anybody that may need it. Wow. I never would have thought about that. That's true. I don't know who this person's name is kind of cut off. It says, no, actually the guy who is receiving that closure text sees a way in. I never thought about it that way. He sees that the first time she has trouble in her marriage, he can use the opportunity to be the friend that she leads on, in quotes. He sees it as she's leaving the door open to them, possibly cheating together in the future, and that may be exactly what her subconscious intent is. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Detroit Posse says, I would have too. You should have had closure before we started dating, at the very least before getting engaged. But bump before getting engaged, before we started dating. Just saying. Master Kamare says, day of the wedding is crazy. Absolutely. Wilkiny.127 says, it isn't about closure and she wasn't physically cheating. She wanted the ex-boyfriend to tell her don't do it. She wanted him to tell her not to go through with it. Crazy. Some women do this type of thing all the time. I once had an ex text me to tell me she might be moving to Ireland. It was a ploy to get me to tell her to stay. I'm totally with the husband on this. He deserves to know what the heck is going on. Straight up. Let's read a few more of these. John Lee Black says, because she's shady as I don't know what. Turtle Dove _737 says, sounds like she was being manipulative and wanted the ex to come crash the wedding. Husband was in the right. Wink 1985 says she doesn't love or respect her husband. Straight to the lawyer for an annulment. Tim DIY, husband was 100% in the right. Good for him. Mexican 0608 says divorce her immediately. Rice Flyer 40T says send her back to the streets. Yeah. Rubicon _J007. He states, just another reason to not date a woman that stays in touch with any of her ex-boyfriends. Never worth ignoring that red flag. The only exception is if they have children together and have to stay in touch. It's funny that he mentions that, because I've said that on this channel oftentimes, right? If like, I don't communicate with any of my ex-girlfriends. And the reason being is because there's no hard feelings. I mean, I had an ex or should I say my last ex, we didn't end on bad terms. We ended on very good terms. It just wasn't going to work out because of the distance, right? But we don't communicate, and it's nothing personal. I have no hard feelings towards her. She has no hard feelings towards me. The reason why we don't communicate is because I've always had the mindset that whoever I get married to in the future, I don't want that to be an issue for them. And I would hope that they would respect me the same way, because I've told women all the time, are you communicating with any of your exes? Unless they have children together, that's unacceptable on my behalf, right? I know people be like, well, people could be cordial and this and that. No, that's not how that works. No, shut it down. Because once you've crossed that boundary, you can't go back to being friends. I don't care what anybody says. I know some people will leave a comment respectfully. I respect your opinion, but I also respectfully disagree. We're going to read about two more of these. J_Defler says she should have had closure before she even started dating someone else, much less getting engaged in marriage. And the last comment, the_Cook_7th says should have canceled the wedding. I mean, if Buddy didn't find out until the day of the honeymoon, he couldn't have canceled the wedding. I'm pretty sure if he found out before then, he definitely would have canceled the wedding. So final thoughts, at the end of the day, she was dead wrong. Shouldn't have happened. Should have had that closure well before they started dating. And I know some ladies are probably going to be like, well, she just needed to find herself and figure it out. No. That time of you being single, that's when you need to find yourself. That's why I tell people, don't jump immediately into a relationship after you've had a long-term relationship, 6 months plus. Because then you don't get all that residue out of your system and you messing around with people. And then also, this is why I tell men and women, and I said this the other day on my Monday video, don't be pursuing individuals that you consider second choice. If you're just settling for somebody, guess what's going to happen? It ain't going to work out. And it didn't work out in this case because you looked at a guy that you didn't respect. You didn't consider him first choice. Now you saying goodbye to an ex who, truth be told, you probably still have feelings for because he's the one that got away. And I'm going to be very transparent with you for a second. I know this from personal experience. Not going to say the individual's name, but I had an individual who was an ex of mine who pretty much tried to reach out after they, had, holy matrimony, all that good stuff. And of course, me being me, I made sure I didn't entertain it, but I'm just letting you know that happens. So this is not just coming from me telling y'all what I'm seeing on social media or hearsay, all that good stuff. No, this is real deal personal experience that I dealt with. And I didn't entertain that person. You want to know why I didn't? Because number one, I'm not going to interfere with what God has. But also, number two, I need you guys to realize that you can't be going around doing that, because that ultimately means that you didn't consider that person's first choice, which means, do you really respect that individual? You probably don't. But those are just my thoughts. You guys leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think. It's Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. God bless. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.